So we're blessed at HWM to have all sorts of interesting visitors to the business. Today we thought we'd capture the moment that Tom Wood has decided to visit HWM. Now, for those of you that don't know Tom is a race car driver who started in karting, so he is twice British champion in karting and is now a GT4 driver, both UK and European. Tom, welcome to HWM.
Thank you very much for having me.
Pleasure, and thank you for allowing us to film your meeting and this conversation. And I know our viewers will be really interested to hear a little bit more about you. So I've mentioned just a tiny bit of your career, but perhaps let's just talk a little bit more about it. As is the way for racing drivers, I guess karting is where you started.
Absolutely, yeah.
You live in Donington now. Did you grow up in Donington as well?
Yeah, so how it all started, my next door neighbour went indoor karting near to Donington, and I thought I'd go along for a bit of fun, and did quite well my first time, and then progressed through the ranks. So won 2 British titles, won a few World Championship races, and then progressed through the Ginetta Juniors into GT racing. So yeah, it's been a bit of a wild journey since those indoor karting days.
So what came first? Had you been anywhere near Donington racetrack at that point, or had you just gone straight to karting? What?
Yeah, well, I was always into anything with wheels at a young age, and yeah, I remember going up to watch MotoGP when it was at Donington, and British touring cars, etc., etc. So yeah, I was always into things with wheels. I wasn't necessarily into motorsport.
Yeah.
Until I did go karting, and then I started watching Formula One, and I just caught the bug basically from there.
Funny enough, I remember watching an incredible race with Valentino Rossi.
Yeah.
At Donington. I'm sure he had an injury. I'm sure he'd broken his wrist or something along those lines, and he'd started from almost second from the back and worked his way all the way up the pack, and you kind of felt like you were watching a legend in his own lifetime. Racing. Yeah. So yeah, no, I had a magical moment at Donington. And so karting, did that take you all around the UK?
It did, yeah. I mean, every weekend we were in the motorhome, or in the earlier days with the car and the trailer, blowing a gale, torrential rain and stuff like that. So yeah, it's taken me to most motorway services throughout the country, and yeah, most UK circuits. So, and then later on in my karting career, I've been to Le Mans to do the World Championships, and a few test days in Spain and stuff. So you do get to know the country fairly well, for sure. Yeah.
And in terms of your development as a driver at that age, does such thing as driver coaches exist in the karting world as it does in the racing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's almost more prolific in karting because of the young age. You're developing, and all your skills in karting have to be translated in the later career. So yeah, I mean, after every race or even test session in karting, you're doing the onboard video and the data and everything. You have your dad on the mechanics, and then you've got a driver coach with you as well. So even from 8 or 9 years old, you start in that environment, and it's just to prepare you for your later career. Yeah.
It's serious commitment for a hobby, isn't it? I guess at that age.
It is, yeah, and we all think that we're going to reach Formula One, or that's always the dream, So and to still be going when the drivers may have run out of money or commitment or whatever it may be, it's great, and all the hard work is starting to pay off. So yeah, I'm really proud of how far I've come, and the commitment and the hard work as well that I've put in. As I said, it's starting to show. So
brilliant. And I already know the answer to this question, but was there any famous sponsors at that age for karting?
Yes, when I was 10 or 11 years old, I was sponsored by Donington Park. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a turbulent time when the Formula One they were trying to get Formula One to the circuit, but it's so great to still have them on board, with MSV taking ownership now, and yeah, big thanks to Jonathan Palmer for staying with me, and yeah, so myself and Leon Haslam, the the World Superbike rider, we're the only ones to be sponsored by MSV and Donington Park. So
Brilliant.
It's so great to have the name behind me and all the support they've shown me over the years. It's amazing.
Fantastic. And so you ended up with 2 championships. Were they in succession?
They were.
Right,
yeah.
okay, nice.
Yeah, so it was 2014 I won the British Cadet title, and then the year after I moved up to junior karts and won the Formula Kart Stars Championship with Donington Park support, which was pretty surreal to have to win all those races with the name on the kart, and then go on to win the British Kart Grand Prix the same year as well. So those 2 years were pretty cool, winning all those races, and then just decided to take the big step up into Ginetta's. Didn't feel it was right to go into seniors I was only 13 and I couldn't even reach the pedals, So I thought it'd be good in my career to jump up into cars at age 14. So,
but a Ginetta in effect is it a G40?
It is, yeah.
G40. So it's a car that is a proper grown-up car, isn't it? And it's a car that you could buy for the road as well as for track. And
absolutely, yeah. I tell you, they're great fun to drive, and they're amazing to learn in with the road tyres. They're all limited to 100 horsepower on the Ginetta Juniors from 14 to 17. But the racing is so close. It is just like karting, if not closer.
Yeah.
And I remember at Thruxton one time we were all in a train. There was probably 15 of us, all in a line fighting for the lead.
Because it's a fast circuit, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. So the slipstream is so important, and we're all just drifting around together in almost tandem, which was pretty surreal. And at 14, it was a bit scary and a bit intimidating. So, but no, as I say, it's one of the best championships to learn in and to progress your career.
And did you do that for a year, couple of years?
Yep, so I did that for 2 years. So the first year was sort of a learning year. I only did 2 or 3 test days before the season start, because it was a fairly late decision to move up. So I wasn't best prepared, but I did the best I could, and I think I was 10th in the championship the first year.
Yeah.
And the best rookie. And then the second year I moved up into HHC, one of the best teams on the grid, and had a great year with them. Won a race at Snetterton, with a few nice moves around the outside on the last lap to win, which was probably one of my best races that I've had. And 5th in the championship, and tough year. It was very, very competitive. A lot of teams, were up there and stuff, and a lot of race winners, a few crashes and everything. So, it's one of those years that anyone could have won.
Yeah.
And it was just, I was pretty consistent throughout the year until the end, a few crashes, but had a few podiums and a nice race win. So
probably a great spectator sport to watch as well.
More so, Probably it's probably less scary, less intimidating watching than driving, especially leading the race. But I think the Ginetta Juniors were one of the most watched championships on the touring car package, apart from obviously touring cars. I think it was number 2 to that. So it was pretty surreal, signing autographs for the fans and stuff at 14, 15 years old.
You've arrived.
Yeah.
And are they on? Do they run slicks? Are you straight onto slicks with?
No, so they're on road tyres. Michelin's. From karting on obviously slick sticky tyres with an insane amount of grip, to then something with suspension that moves around, and then the road tyres which move around even more on the blocks. It was a massive learning curve. Almost jumping into a GT4 car again a couple of years after I started Ginetta's was almost back to my grassroots with slicks and more grip and stiffer suspension. So Ginetta's definitely prepare you for a broad range of cars moving up. So.
And then so that would be a manual gearbox as well.
Yeah, sequential. Yeah.
As a sequential gearbox.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
And interesting. So did you continue to left foot brake, and have you continued to left foot brake all the way through your career from karting?
Yeah. So in Ginetta's, obviously you can left foot brake and blip the throttle to go down the gearbox with a sequential. There's a few times I remember on a test day at Croft, and we were trying everything to try and get that marginal gain over our competitors, and I did try heel and toe and everything, tried everything, but yeah, I've continued to left foot brake, and obviously now we've got paddle shift, it's nice and easy, so but yeah, I do know a few people that still ride foot brake because of the overlap in the two pedals can be prolific, but yeah, it's just easier for me to do it, even in a road car. Yeah, I still left foot brake in a road car, my auto, so.
Well, it's great. It's great if you've just developed that sensitivity and that ability to modulate that not everybody has. Yeah. So right. No, it's fantastic. And then so after Ginetta, then was another big step, I guess.
Yeah, huge step into British GT. So I was only just 16 when I first drove the GT4 Aston Martin Vantage, the old one, at Portimao, my first time. So that was a pretty exciting track to do my first test round, and on an Aston Martin Racing official day as well, with all the works drivers there and the new launch of the Vantage and stuff. So that was pretty surreal. But yeah, 16 years old, I turned up to Alton Park for the first round, not really knowing what to expect, and yeah, I was third in my stint, and handed the car over in third. So yeah, it was an awesome year, one of the best years that I've done in my racing career. Again, signing autographs as well in the pit lane it's something you have to pinch yourself over sometimes, for sure. But yeah, you never really get used to it. So with all the fans and stuff. But
and at 16, this is kind of at an age where you can't legally drive.
No.
You could ride a moped and be restricted to 30 miles an hour legally, but there you are in a GT4 car.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't even do a track day to practice in the car, so I had to do a official test day. So yeah, it was a big step up from the juniors, but you know, I took the opportunity and grasped it, and yeah, took it and run, and we had a nice year. You know, we were always up there, started on the front row at Silverstone 500. Just a few reliability issues, but you know, it really did boost my career and the partnership with Aston Martin Racing that I've still got today.
So one of the things I was going to ask you in terms of your transition to GT4 is that must have been quite a challenge to get adequate seat time before the season. Did you manage to get some decent seat time?
Yeah, I obviously did the 2-day test at Portimao, sorry.
Amazing circuit.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. And then I think I did 1 or 2 days before the first round.
Yep.
One of the days, unfortunately, my teammate came out the first corner on the first lap and had a bit of an incident with the barrier, so didn't get as much seat time as I planned. But no, I find I do adapt fairly well to cars and tracks, because I've always been in a situation where I've sort of have been forced to, really, with with Ginetta Juniors. We didn't really have the funding to go out and test for a year, as a lot of people did, so I just did 2 days, and I find like I adapt fairly well to different situations. So and then obviously the new car the year after, again I did quite a lot of development for that with Aston Martin, and again it was one of those things that you really have to adapt to and to get ahead of the game, really.
Yes. Yeah. Do you think inherently, coming from a karting background, are karts, perhaps with their short wheelbase, no suspension, so unforgiving that all of a sudden you drive anything else after that, and relative to a kart, actually they let go slightly more progressively?
That was the biggest thing I learned, I think, from jumping out of karting into a Ginetta Junior. I remember Tom Ingram, British touring car driver, was instructing me, and I was always trying to fight the car. Every time it moved, I'd sort of be scared and react to it, you know.
Yeah.
But I think the main thing is jumping out of karting into cars is you just got to let the thing move around and do its thing. But it's just having the confidence to do that in the first place, which I think that was the biggest hurdle for me. I mean, I've been racing karting since I was 6.5 years old properly, you know, and it's been drummed into me from that age until I was 14, and then all of a sudden it's sort of alien that you have to let the thing move around, and and everything like that. So, but yeah, I think Tom Ingram took me around the track and showed me what I had to do, and then straight away I was like, okay, I've got it now, and got used to it. So yeah.
Got it. Yeah, no, that understood. And so that was a pretty epic season in the UK, and then you went further afield again after that into Europe.
I did, yeah. So yeah, with the release of the new Vantage, I decided to go to Europe in the European GT4 series, which is one of, if not the most competitive GT4 series in the world. So they run a Pro Series, a category, and then they have Pro-Am and then Am. So I was in the Pro-Am category with Fiona James, and yeah, she's had a lot of experience in the car, and she just enjoys her racing. So it was great to be with her, and we were pretty competitive most of the year with 2 podiums at Brands Hatch. It was great for our home race with David Richards there as well to support, which meant a lot to me,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a super competitive year. The balance of performance sometimes didn't play into our hands with it being a new car, which was always a battle, but made it entertaining, and yeah, it was great. It was a great year, and I was also part of the Aston Martin Academy as well, which was great. So the preparation before each race was really pushed up a level compared to the previous year in terms of simulator work and fitness tracking, nutrition, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was a wonderful opportunity to have to race an Aston in Europe and to be the fastest Aston out there in Europe with our team, which was great.
But that's interesting. You do quite a bit of simulator work.
Yeah.
Now, and that tends to be the way that teams get their seat time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Obviously, it's a more affordable way of going testing, really. A lot of the simulators nowadays are very realistic, and you can do a lot of simulations on them around whatever track you want in the world. So yeah, a lot of teams turn to that in terms of development, and then as a driver, from our point of view, if we've never been to a circuit before, that's how we learn the circuit layout, and a lot of the time they get the surface and the bumps and everything pretty spot on as well nowadays.
Yes.
So yeah, I use base performance simulators down near Gaydon, down near the Aston Martin factory. So it was quite cool to drive the Aston Martin in an Aston Martin tub that they have there. So yeah, it really, as I said, it really does push your preparation before each race to another level. So you feel like you turn up to the event, even if you haven't been to a circuit before, and you can really push the car from lap 1, which is what you need, really.
Yeah, that is interesting. And any budding racing drivers watching, this is an interesting question, because we were talking earlier, we were just talking, and I asked you, we were talking about the Nordschleife, and it's an incredibly complex, dangerous circuit. It's a wonderful, wonderful place, but I kind of said to you, how did you really get to know it? And your answer in terms of how you first got to know it was...
Yeah, it was on a PlayStation, really. So yeah, I learned in stages, as I said earlier, and just nailed each stage each time I went, and then just put it all together, and then all of a sudden, last year I found myself racing there. So yeah, I did the test you have to do, and I almost had to relearn the place because it is so different to what I expected it to be from a PlayStation game. So there is a point where you could go too far on a sim to try and learn circuits, and if you spent too much time on a sim, you might be surprised when you get to the circuit that it is actually quite different to the game, Yeah. So it's finding the right balance between learning the circuit and not taking it taking it with a pinch of salt, really.
It's probably more about knowing whether it's left or right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rather than what the surface is doing, what certain bumps do, and that makes sense. I guess it's a good head start.
It is, yeah.
So I'm also interested to hear about, from afar, anybody who loves cars look at racing drivers and think, well, they've got the best job in the world, and there's probably incredible days, but there's probably also lots of challenging sides. One thing that strikes me is the mental strength required, because you have bad days on track. Racing's a cruel mistress. but not only that, you have a load of waiting about every race weekend. Do you find that's a challenge mentally, that you can be there contemplating things because you sit there waiting for a race?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think car racing, especially compared to karting, is a lot more intense in that the performance you have to to do on the track is a lot of higher level compared to karting. Karting, you're out every hour, and you come in, you do the data, and you're straight back out again, and it's almost quite relaxed, really, in a way, in terms of the mental side. But yeah, in a car, you have limited running. Often you're only in the car for half an hour, so you have to make the most of that half an hour to perform to the best of your ability every single lap. So yeah, the waiting around, you really have to prepare mentally. It's more of a mental game than a physical one. And just, as I said, just to prepare, watch videos, go through the data with your engineers, and ensure the car setup is right for the conditions, etc., etc. So yeah, I find it's a very intense environment, car racing, and especially GTs, because you're always up against either your driving partner to stand out in front of a manufacturer, or the sister car on the other side of the tent. So you've always got to be on top of your game and trying to look for the marginal gains, really.
Yeah, no, understood. And I can imagine over the years, in terms of getting to where you are, there's probably been quite a few people who have supported you through. And it might be interesting just to hear a little bit about that. And it's a massive part of racing, isn't it? It's a costly sport, and you really need people who love and believe in the sport to help make things happen.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, obviously, as I said earlier, I'm thrilled to have Donington Park still involved after over 10 years of support, and they've also helped me get sponsors and stuff, and financial backing from Scanavision in Castle Donington, my home village, anywhere up to Q8 Oils in karting. They sponsored me for quite a while. So I mean, it's obviously, especially now in these difficult times, it's very, very difficult to find anything at all, really. And all through the winter, every driver is trying to source any financial backing or support, or even contracts with teams.
Yes.
So yeah, that's the main challenge over the winter, but it's always a challenge. It's a challenge throughout my career. So no, I'm super grateful to have all the support that I have over the years, and hopefully I can continue with Donington and other partners in the future.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I've got three questions that I wanted to ask you that were general questions. One, when you were younger, who was the racing driver that inspired you most?
I think, there's two. I think there's Lewis Hamilton, who really, in British motorsport, in British karting especially, just inspired every young boy or girl, to just follow the dream of Formula One, and had almost the idea that most, if not anyone, can get there. So he very much inspired me, but I think my biggest inspiration is Ayrton Senna. I just really connected with what he was about and his mentality towards what he was doing, and I still connect with him even now, but yeah, I remember watching the Senna film, I think it was 2011, every time I used to go to a race, I'd just watch the Senna film before I went.
And that gets you in the
every
mood.
time.
Brilliant.
And it got me in the mindset of what I needed to do, and what my job was, and how much I wanted to win, and how badly I wanted to make a career in motorsport. So it's good to have almost a spiritual inspiration there, because it's always something to follow before a race weekend. So that's what I do.
So my Ayrton Senna film that gets me in the mood is, if you haven't seen it, you've got to look it up. There's footage of him. He helped develop the Honda NSX. He was driving the NSX. There's footage, I'm sure you've seen it, of him driving the NSX on track, and then there's a camera pointing at his feet as he drives it around the circuit, and it's just incredible.
Yeah.
So seeing him dancing the pedals. It's just one of those films that I just love seeing. Incredible guy. No, that's fantastic. Next question I've got: if you're later in your career and you've had fantastic success, and now you're thinking less career, more enjoyment, if you were to choose a race series just for fun, what would you want to get involved with?
I think Formula One.
You know how to relax,
straight
don't you?
away.
Yeah.
I just think the reason behind it is just because just from 3.5 years old, that is what I've wanted to do my whole life, and you know, it's almost what I've been aiming for. So if I had to choose anything at all, it'd be that. And you know, I just, you know, even a driving one for a test day would just be an absolute dream come true, because obviously nowadays it's, you know, the financial backing that drivers have to have, and you know, the fortune, and it's such a challenge to get there, and it was a challenge anyway even 20-30 years ago, but especially now the market is so saturated for drivers, it's so difficult to get there. So just to have even a race, a test, a season in one, that would be probably my dream.
I was hoping you were going to say lawnmower racing. I was a bit wide of the mark there. Okay, no, that's brilliant. And now, being that we're in an Aston Martin dealership, I can't let you go without. I think this will be choosing blind, because although you've driven an Aston to the limit on track, would it be fair to say you've probably not driven an Aston on the road, or have you?
No, I haven't. No. Not at all.
I don't think even we can insure you. So, but if you were to choose something, any Aston that would suit you as your one car that you can run for next year, what would it be on the road?
I think the V12 Vantage manual, I think, would be the one I'd choose, because everything about that car is just absolutely exquisite and stunning. You know, it looks amazing. You know, the gearbox, the manual gearbox, and just the sound, and you know, the Aston Martin V12, you can't beat it. There's no beating it at all. So I think that's the one I'd probably choose.
Well, look, I can't thank you enough for giving up your time. It's been really good to speak to you. Good luck with the season. What's your next race?
Hopefully the European GT4 Championship. That's the aim. So something in an Aston Martin in a GT4 car would be the aim. So no, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Brilliant. Well, look, we'd love to see you in a GT4 Aston. Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.